Hi, Gene here with my thoughts for today. And my thoughts for today, well, it's really going to be just a rant, an off-the-cuff, stream of consciousness rant. So if you're looking for pre-planning an organization, well, you've come to the wrong place, at least today. Though actually, based on some of the comments I've gotten, that could be true of just about every day that I do a vlog. Anyways, what I want to rant about, I've been meaning to rant about this for a while, but these woke college students that, well, especially in New York, Columbia University, I guess they're the poster child for these college students, just these mass demonstrations and talk about rants. They're ranting, and these quote-unquote protests and harassing especially Jewish students, and complaining that as you know, Trump is withholding hundreds of millions, he's up to billions of dollars now of withholding federal funding or aid to these universities unless they clean up their DEI, diversity, equity, inclusion, or as we conservatives call it, didn't earn it programs, but also the anti-Semitism and what you have is these students. Some of the ones that are foreign students, they're going to be sooner or later deported, a lot of them. In fact, we've already, the government's already begun that process of deporting some of these foreign people who are here on, students who are here on student visas. And I wonder how their parents are going to feel when their children get sent home to them for, after they paid all this money, because it costs a lot of money for somebody in another country to send their kids to college in an American university, but even American parents. And these protests or being disciplined or being expelled from the university, in my opinion, all these students should be expelled. And that's what the rant is going to be about today, because you have these students saying, well, my First Amendment rights are being violated or being infringed on. And no, that is not the case. And the whole problem is, I cannot understand that these are schools. I mean, a college is a school, but a college, if you don't see this in junior high or high schools, but there's this idea that these students seem to have, and the professors, and the administrators too, that a college, that a liberal arts college, let's say, which is mainly what we're talking about, is some kind of a government or a country where people have rights to protest, and they are and free speech rights, and they have these student councils. You'll sometimes read a story where the student council of yada 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 university passed a resolution or whatever that says this, that, or the other thing. And who cares? The whole point of a student council is to give people practice in democracy, but they are not real governments. They don't pass laws that are enforceable, or that mean anything at all. They're just like when I was in kindergarten, and it was in kindergarten where we learned to, first grade, no, it was kindergarten, you learned to make change. You pretend to go to this store, and they had the play, there was a play cash register that we would take turns on or whatever, and wooden, fake money, and we would practice paying for something and getting our change back and figuring the change, and it was all practice. It wasn't real money. And this is the same thing with a student council. But what is a college? If it's not a government, and if it's not a country, then what is it? It's a business. That's all it is. It's a business. And compare imagine a trade school. Okay, you're going to learn welding, or you're learning to learn, heating, HVAC, heating, venting, air conditioning, how to fix those kind of things, or computer repair, or something, any kind of a trade, or auto mechanics, anything. Can you imagine the students in a trade school, is what I'm talking about, a trade school, protesting and marching and walking out of their welding classes or their auto mechanics classes? Does that make any sense at all? The trade school would just say, well, okay, well, you're gone, out of here, and you don't get a refund also. And because it's a business, and if you go to college, take something easy like, I don't mean that the courses are easy, but I mean an easy comparison to a trade school. If you go to become a lawyer or a doctor, you're learning a trade. It's a different trade. You are learning a trade. It's a business. You don't have any right to be there. You pay your money, but there can be rules. You don't have. Can you imagine again a welding school? Palestine will be free from the river to the sea. Can you imagine that in a happening in a trade school? Number one. Number two, could you imagine the students? I said what would happen to the students who did that in a trade school, but could you imagine students even doing something like that? Because they pay money and they are there to learn a trade, and every minute that they are not in that class learning that trade that's going to earn them money, they're wasting their money. And why? It's the same thing in a college, but they feel that they walk out. Even the teacher will cancel a class so you can go protest this, that, or the other thing, and the student doesn't get any learning for that day. And it just doesn't make sense that the colleges put up with this, and that this is allowed. A college is a business. Even if you're going to learn, you want to be a history major or something, and you're not learning a specific skill or a trade to get a job, still that you are there to learn something. You pay your money to learn something, and that's all you are there to do, is learn. You're not there to protest. You're not there for free speech. You're not there to talk about whatever you want. Plus, first of all, you're idiots. You're take it from me. My college days were a long time ago, and when I was in college, and I was young, I was 18, 19, I thought I knew everything. But I learned as I got older. I can tell you now, you young idiots over there, you don't know everything. In fact, you don't know anything, to be honest. And get off a little sidetrack, but it's related. Now, looking back on it, we should raise the voting age back up to 21, because these horrible voting. Though I do have some hope now. We're seeing these younger. There have been any number of stories on this of younger kids becoming more conservative. So good, but you have these troublemakers, these people who think they have a right to protest and talk and everything, and not only are they harming themselves educationally, especially, if you're taking a course in gender studies, what is that good for? Except why would parents want to pay for that? Why would you take out a student loan to learn basically metaphorical basket weaving? Actually, basket weaving is a skill, but gender studies or Afrocentric studies or whatever, how is that going to help you in later life? How is it going to help you get a job or learn anything? And it's just, this is a rant, so I'm just going to rant. It doesn't have to make sense. I told you at the beginning, or it doesn't have to be logical. You get my point, though, that it's just that these kids have a right to do whatever. I know what I wanted to say. I'll end on this. Okay, I'll end on this. But that it harms them, the students who are protesting, but also the other students who want to learn. The teacher closes the class for the day, so these students can go out and protest. Well, what about the students who don't want to protest, and they paid their money, their tuition, or they took out a student loan, or even if they're on a scholarship, they want to learn, and they're being deprived of that learning. And it's wrong for the colleges to put up with this, and it is absolutely right for the Trump administration, for the federal government, to withhold my tax dollars from these institutions that refuse to just treat the college as a business. It's all it is. It's a business. It's not you're not on a higher plane of existence. You're no different than the kid who goes to welding school or auto mechanic school, except that they'll probably earn a whole lot more money than you will at the end of the day. If you're, I could be wrong, but I think, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think auto mechanics make more money than gender studies students. That's my opinion. And more than philosophy majors, unless you are teaching philosophy. You make a ton of money if you're in a university. All these professors who are closing the classes, and they get all these, they make these very high salaries, and no, not with my tax dollars, not anymore. And thank God that Trump is doing the right thing. And I guess I'll end on that. It's enough ranting for today. I'm sure I'll have more to rant about in the future. But if you want to rant in the comments section below, there's a whole comment section below the video for you to do that. And before you do that, even, always put the important things at the top of your list. And the important thing is to subscribe to this channel. But then, you can rant all you want in either for or against, you woke college students, you idiots. You are welcome to comment too in the comment section. All comments welcome. Share this video with anyone you think would benefit from it. Subscribe. But most of all, come back and see me again, hopefully in a happier mood. And, I'm smiling already. Okay, so I'm in a happier mood. Actually, I'll end up on a happy, I just read about this. And this will be a separate little vlog maybe one of these days, but do you know who John Kennedy is? John Kennedy is a senator from Louisiana, and he has a great sense of humor. And he was asked, I think it was on like a panel of senators, several senators on the Sean Hannity show. I didn't see the show, I just saw this clip, but he was asked about about Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, the Bronx barmaid who somehow became a representative and maybe a senator from New York. I read an article, this is what could be the vlog, that she actually is leading Chuck Schumer in the primary vote. If there were a primary today for the next senatorial race and, Schumer trying to get reelected in New York, Ocasio-Cortez would beat her. So John Kennedy was asked, what is what is his opinion of Ocasio-Cortez? And he said,
I consider Congresswoman Ocasio-Cortez to be the leader of the Democratic Party. She's entitled to her opinion. I'm entitled to mine. As I've said about her before, I think she's the reason there are directions on a shampoo bottle. And our plan for dealing with her...
You didn't plan that out. We got to hurry.
Our plan for dealing with her is called Operation Let Her Speak.
I'll just end on that, a little happy note there. Unless she becomes a senator, then I don't know. I'm glad I've said in the past, I lived in New York for 40 years. I'm in Tennessee now. Thank God I don't live there now, especially if, it's bad enough that Chuck Schumer was my senator, but for a long time. And hopefully, thank God I don't have to worry about Alexandria Cortez Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez being my senator. So that's it. Bye.